to the State of Tech, the European edition, Tuesday, April 14, 2026. I'm Samantha Lawrence.
And I'm Bob Russell. Today, AI is quietly rewriting the rules inside courtrooms on both sides of the Atlantic. Then, a Duke study warns that AI might actually be making us all less creative. Quantum computing pitches itself as the answer to AI's massive energy appetite. A Chinese robotics firm launches a warehouse brain that could reshape European logistics. Credo snaps up an Israeli photonics company to supercharge AI networking. And finally, 3D Systems drops a new printer that's genuinely fast. And we mean fast. Let's start with AI in the legal world.
So here's one that hits close to home for anyone who's ever dealt with the legal system. AI is now being used for everything from legal research to drafting documents to generating court transcripts. And it's happening faster than most people realize.
In Ohio, lawyers and judges have been openly discussing how tools powered by large language models are streamlining case research, cutting through document review backlogs, and even helping generate transcripts. The efficiency gains are real, but so are the risks. There's this persistent problem of AI hallucinations, the system confidently inventing case law that doesn't exist. Imagine citing a fake precedent in a child custody hearing. That's not a hypothetical. People are genuinely worried about this.
And meanwhile, the UK government is taking a different angle. They've just launched new research specifically looking at using AI to produce court transcripts faster and cheaper. Right now, getting a transcript of court proceedings in England and Wales can be prohibitively expensive. We're talking hundreds of pounds for a single hearing. That prices out a lot of ordinary people from accessing records of their own cases.
The idea is that AI-generated transcripts could dramatically cut those costs and improve transparency. Victims of crime, for instance, could actually afford to see what was said in their cases. That's a real access to justice issue.
But here's the tension, right? You want speed and affordability, but you also need accuracy. A transcript error in a criminal case isn't a typo. It could change the outcome.
And that tension runs through this whole story. The legal profession is cautiously embracing AI, but there's broad agreement that human oversight has to remain central. You can't automate judgment.
This is going to be a fascinating space to watch. The productivity gains are obvious, but the stakes are about as high as they get.
And the regulatory landscape in Europe is actually ahead of the curve here. The AI Act gives a framework that most other jurisdictions just don't have yet.
True. All right, let's move on to creativity, or the potential lack of it.
So Duke University just published a study that should make every creative professional sit up. They gave the same creative prompts to humans and to several commercial large language models. GPT-4, Claude, Gemini, the big names. And what they found is striking. The AI outputs were far more similar to each other than the human responses were to each other.
So basically, if 1,000 people use ChatGPT to brainstorm a marketing campaign, they're all going to get variations of the same ideas. Whereas 1,000 humans would produce a much wider range of concepts.
That's the finding, and the researchers argue this could lead to a kind of creative homogenization at a societal level. If everyone's using the same tools, and those tools converge on similar outputs, the overall diversity of ideas shrinks.
I find this genuinely concerning for creative industries. Think about advertising, film, music, design. Europe has incredibly vibrant creative sectors. If agencies and studios start over-relying on AI for ideation, you could end up with a blander cultural landscape.
And it's not that AI can't produce impressive individual outputs. It can. The problem is the distribution. Humans are weird and unpredictable, and that's where breakthrough ideas come from. AI tends to gravitate toward the most statistically likely response.
Which is, by definition, the least surprising one.
European policymakers are already thinking about cultural preservation in the digital age. This study gives them concrete evidence that AI tools need to be positioned as supplements to human creativity, not replacements.
Quick interruption. If you listen to the State of Tech regularly, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode. Okay, moving on. D-Wave's CEO Alan Baratz has been making the rounds at some major summits this week, and his pitch is pretty compelling. He's arguing that quantum computing isn't just a lab curiosity anymore, it's ready for commercial use. And one of its killer applications? Helping tame AI's enormous energy consumption.
The numbers on AI energy use are staggering. Training a single large model can consume as much electricity as a small town uses in a year. And as these models get bigger, the problem compounds. Baratz is saying quantum computing offers a fundamentally different approach to certain calculations, particularly optimization problems, that could be dramatically more energy efficient.
So instead of brute forcing your way through a problem with thousands of GPUs burning megawatts, a quantum system could potentially find solutions using a fraction of the energy.
That's the promise. Now, we should be clear. Quantum computing isn't replacing classical computing or AI hardware. It's about handling specific types of problems more efficiently. Things like materials simulation, supply chain optimization, logistics routing.
And this resonates hugely in Europe. The EU has poured billions into quantum research through the Quantum Flagship program. And the continent is deeply committed to green tech and sustainability targets. If quantum can actually reduce AI's carbon footprint, that aligns perfectly with European priorities.
Baratz is also pushing urgency. His message to enterprises is, don't wait for quantum to be perfect. Start exploring it now, because the organizations that build quantum expertise early will have a serious competitive edge.
Fair point. Though I'd say European companies tend to be more cautious about adopting technologies before they're proven at scale, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Next up, smart warehouses getting even smarter.
Bangchi Technology turned heads at Modex 2026 with a fully integrated smart logistics platform aimed at overseas warehouse operations. We're talking AI-driven automation, high-density storage systems, goods-to-person picking, and multi-robot coordination, all working together as one system.
And the performance numbers are hard to ignore. Over 40% more storage utilization, up to 300% improvement in picking efficiency, and labor costs cut by half. Those are real-world deployment figures, not lab results.
The system essentially gives a warehouse what Bangchi calls a thinking brain. It coordinates everything: inventory management, robot routing, order prioritization in real time. And it scales for peak season surges, which is a massive pain point for e-commerce logistics.
Bangchi already has a service network across Europe, so this isn't theoretical for European companies. If you're running a fulfillment center in Rotterdam or Leipzig, this is a solution you can actually deploy.
And the timing matters. European logistics companies are facing the same pressures everyone else is: rising labor costs, tight warehouse space in urban areas, and customer expectations for faster delivery. Automation isn't optional anymore. It's survival.
Though I'd expect some scrutiny from European regulators around data sovereignty, given that this is a Chinese technology company. That's just the reality of the current geopolitical landscape.
Good point. But the technology itself is genuinely impressive, and it addresses real operational needs.
All right, let's talk about the infrastructure that makes AI actually work, the physical connections.
Credo Technology just announced it's acquiring Dust Photonics, an Israeli company specializing in silicon photonics. This is the technology that moves data at incredibly high speeds using light instead of electrical signals, and it's becoming essential for AI workloads.
We're talking about connectivity at 800 gigabits, 1.6 terabits, even 3.2 terabits per second. The kind of bandwidth that massive AI training clusters and inference networks demand.
Dust Photonics has developed photonic integrated circuits that are more energy efficient and scalable than traditional optical components. By bringing this in-house, Credo gets a vertically integrated stack, from chip to module to system. That's a significant competitive advantage.
For Europe, this matters because every major AI deployment, whether it's a hyperscale data center in the Nordics or a cloud region in Frankfurt, depends on this kind of high-speed interconnect technology. If the supply chain for these components consolidates, European operators need to pay attention.
Credo expects this to substantially boost its optical revenue by fiscal 2027. And given that European data center investment is surging right now, they'll be selling into a very receptive market.
The Israel-Europe tech corridor is strong too, so dust photonics expertise could flow naturally into European supply chains. And finally, something for the makers and the builders out there.
3D Systems has unveiled the SLA-825 Dual, a next-generation stereolithography printer with dual lasers and up to 30% faster print speeds than anything else on the market. Bigger build volumes, too. This isn't your hobbyist printer. It's designed for production-scale manufacturing.
And alongside the hardware, they launched a software platform called AdiTrack, which lets manufacturers monitor entire fleets of 3D printers in real time. Process control, data collection, quality tracking, all integrated.
This is the step that takes additive manufacturing from we use it for prototypes to we use it for actual production runs. And that's a huge shift for industries like aerospace, automotive, and medical devices.
All of which are massive in Europe, by the way. Airbus, BMW, countless medical device companies. They've been experimenting with 3D printing for years. A platform that's genuinely reliable and fast enough for production could accelerate adoption significantly.
I love that they built the fleet management software too. That shows they understand the real barrier isn't just print speed. It's managing dozens of machines producing thousands of parts consistently.
There's something satisfying about hardware innovation that you can actually see and touch. In a world of invisible AI models, a faster, smarter printer feels refreshingly tangible.
And 30% faster is no small thing when you're talking about production timelines. That's real money saved.
Today we covered AI moving into courtrooms across the Atlantic, a study warning AI could flatten our creativity, quantum computing tackling AI's energy problem, smart warehouse robots heading for Europe, a photonic steel reshaping AI networking, and a 3D printer fast enough for the factory floor.
Want to know more or react? Visit stateoftech.eu or email us at info@doorzetters.net. State of Tech, the tech world in 15 minutes.